general idea of Kingdom Hearts may not seem appealing to anyone over the age of 12, but the deep storyline, beautiful soundtrack, innovative battle system, and heartfelt characters make playing this game an immersive and unforgettable experience. But it almost didn't happen. From Square's untimely financial troubles to Disney somehow licensing their characters to a Japanese company wanting to make an action RPG game, the circumstances surrounding Kingdom Hearts could not have been more coincidental. Square initially wanted to make a 3D platformer similar to Mario 64. In their opinion, however, they would need an already successful franchise that's not Final Fantasy in order to create a game that rivaled Mario's. This is, in my opinion, an incorrect way of thinking, as Banjo-Kazooie showed in 1998. But the truth behind this is that Square was getting into a bit of financial trouble, and risk-taking was not something that they wanted to do. Partnering up with another company with a pre-existing and popular fanbase was what they believed could give them their much-needed boost. Square had recently experienced great success after leaving Nintendo to bring all of their titles to the PlayStation. The fame of Final Fantasy VII made them look like rock stars, but that success became very difficult for them to replicate as the years went on. Square took some hits and made some poor decisions. They were in a very familiar position by the year 2001 when Spirits Within was released. The film lost millions as the company was already struggling to find the prosperity that it had so recently enjoyed. As Square was contemplating which characters they could acquire licenses for that would rival the popularity of Super Mario, Square producer Shinji Hashimoto had a chance meeting with a Disney executive. As fate would have it, Disney had a branch in Tokyo that was working in the same building that Square was. Tetsuya Nomura, recalling how his idea for a 3D platformer had been turned down due to not having a character as popular as Mario, jumped up when he heard that Square might have a chance to work with some of Disney's characters, such as Mickey Mouse. In an interview with Satoru Iwata, Nomura said that he had walked in on a meeting between Hashimoto-san and Sakaguchi-san, two Square executives, as they were talking about a discussion they'd had with Disney. At that moment, he basically put his hand up and said, "I want to be a part of this." And that's how it all began. Disney was surprisingly open to the idea. Even Bob Iger, then CEO of Disney, gave Square very few limitations or boundaries when developing the game. This shows very clearly in the final product. I wouldn't have imagined this to be a game Disney would have made in 1,000 years. Nomura put together a team of about 100 people from Square and Disney Interactive and began working on Kingdom Hearts in February of 2000. The game was originally going to have a simple plot and gameplay that would appeal to Disney's younger audience. However, Hironobu Sakaguchi was adamant that the game would fail unless it had the depth and atmosphere of a Final Fantasy game. This meant that the story needed to be considerably reworked. Nomura must have taken Sakaguchi's advice to heart, because Kingdom Hearts is one of the most complicated stories I've ever heard in my life. However, rather than hurting sales, Sakaguchi was proved right when people embraced the complexity of the game. By playing as Sora instead of a Disney or Final Fantasy character, the player is allowed to view those worlds from the perspective of an outsider. Sora, as a character, isn't an overpowered or chosen character. He's really just a good person who wants to help. This makes the connection between Sora and the player very strong, as we're exploring new and unknown worlds together. This may seem like an obvious choice, but it was initially Disney's intent to have the playable character be a Disney one. It was the game's director and character designer, Tetsuya Nomura, who convinced them that a third-party, completely original character would help to bridge the gap between the two companies' worlds. This decision, more than any other made throughout the course of development, had the biggest impact on the success of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts was released for PlayStation 2 on March 28, 2002 in Japan, and made its way to North America in September, while Europe and Australia saw the game come out in November. This seems like a long time, but in playing the game, it's easy to see what took them so long. Kingdom Hearts was localized extremely well. In America, the main character, Sora, is voiced by Haley Joel Osment.
But I've learned that deep down there's a light that never goes out.
They used voice actors from many of the original Disney films where they could, sometimes using the voice actors from straight-to-video sequels instead. They went to great lengths to keep the feel of the films in the game, since the majority of the game takes place in the worlds of Disney, and Square did a wonderful job recreating the settings for many of Disney's most popular films. The music was done by the incredibly talented Yoko Shimomura. The previous highlight of her career was the music of Super Mario RPG, which has one of the best soundtracks on the Super NES. Some of the songs were rearrangements of Disney songs, but the great majority were original, including the game's opening theme and ending credits. With Kingdom Hearts, she showed her abilities with an incredible score full of emotion and personality. The soundtrack is, in a word, brilliant. The game was directed by Tetsuya Nomura, his first time directing. He started out doing character design for Square on some of the earlier Final Fantasy games. He must have shown some great leadership, because they let him direct such an important video game without any prior directing experience. He has since become an integral part of Square-Enix, even being trusted to direct Final Fantasy XV. He has since left that project to pursue a Final Fantasy VII remake, as well as another addition to the Kingdom Hearts series, Kingdom Hearts 3. As their go-to character designer, Nomura's fingerprints are all over Square-Enix's work. One small downside to Kingdom Hearts comes in its touchy controls. It came towards the beginning of the 3D movement in games, and the sensitivity of the PS2 joystick was a problem. Control is difficult in this game, especially when compared to other games of the time like Legend of Zelda Wind Waker or Mario Sunshine. The difficulties don't lie in battle, however, mostly just in the platforming and getting around in general. I would rather use the right stick to control the camera, but in Kingdom Hearts the right stick controls your list of items and spells that you can use while still running away and avoiding your enemies. Camera controls are the R and L buttons. The camera often has troubles when you're going around corners or near walls and objects, and the RL controls aren't always enough to fix it, since they can only control horizontal movement. This can be very frustrating, as the camera's unexpected movement can make your character's relative movement jolt as well. Other RPGs are often fun, but clunky or repetitive battle systems can weigh them down, and that can really hurt their enjoyment. This game is fun, and the relatively simple battle style keeps it that way. I'm never annoyed when another battle happens, as I can be with some RPGs. I am never so focused on strategy that I lose a sense of the story. It may be simple, but the battle system for Kingdom Hearts fits in very well with the fun gameplay and story. The action RPG system works extremely well. It features a functional targeting system, buttons assigned to specific items, adjustable AI teammates, a simple magic meter, and defensive stances to minimize damage. Battles are extremely fast-paced and interactive. They have commonly been described as hack and slash. It's not exactly a button masher, as there is some strategy involved, but button mashers will find that they do quite well for the majority of this game. The FMV rendered cutscenes are beautiful, something Square has excelled at through the years. The in-game cutscenes still look nice for the time, but there are some moments that left me scratching my head. Generally, the cutscenes look very good, but the animations can be awkward, with long pauses and loose editing. For the most part, it comes together well, it's not as polished or as tight as I think it could have been. What Square did with Kingdom Hearts was incredible, but what's more amazing is the fact that Disney let them do it. This was a risky move to allow a foreign company the artistic freedom to make such a deep, complicated, and somewhat violent game using their characters. They even go so far as to alter the history of events in the Disney movies that we all watched as children, something I had to warm up to when I first played the game. These kinds of things can be hard to get past, but they eventually create a beautifully woven story that connects Sora with many of the fantastic worlds that we grew so familiar with as children.
I guess you're stuck with us, Sora.
Thanks a lot, Donald. Goofy.
In the story, Sora awakens from a dream he had. He finds his friends about their usual spots on the island. He, Riku, and Kairi are about to set sail using their homemade raft for another world. They've heard stories about worlds beyond their own, and they want to visit them, much like the player. Of course, things go wrong, and be careful what you wish for, because Sora ends up in more different worlds than he can count on both hands. He bumps into Donald Duck and Goofy, and they decide to team up. In exchange for helping them find Mickey Mouse, they agree to help him find Kairi. Nomura said that he hopes people feel a sense of depth when they enter the world of Kingdom Hearts. He certainly accomplished that and more. The story of Sora, Kairi, and Riku is complex right off the bat. Were we talking about a movie here, I'd say that the word convoluted would be appropriate. But as we're talking about a series of games, I think that there are opportunities for deeper storylines. I'll just say that it's a complex story, but if I hear somebody else call it convoluted, I certainly won't argue with it. Its disorienting complexity, which really takes off in Kingdom Hearts 2, is at times a drawback, but I think it's drawn as many people into the game as out. There is no lack of things to speculate about, and many people enjoy the intertwining storylines and the process of untangling them. Just look at the popularity of blog posts claiming that Frozen is somehow connected to Tarzan. People love this stuff. Not to mention, there is so much more Kingdom Hearts to come in the future. The game includes Final Fantasy characters from Final Fantasy VII, 8, 10, and Moogles, who've been in Final Fantasy games since the third one. We visit Wonderland, Atlantica, Agrabah, and many other Disney worlds, meeting many of their characters. These worlds are being threatened by the Heartless, the enemies we fight throughout the game, who are void of emotion and consume the hearts of others. Don't worry, with this game, the complexities of the Kingdom Hearts saga are just getting started. Luckily, Sora has no difficulties letting others into his heart, and is always trying his best to help people he doesn't know. A nice parallel with the player.
Although my heart may be weak, it's not alone. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. I've become part of their heart just as they've become a part of mine.
After I beat this game, I complained about the overly complicated storyline. I thought I knew better than the game designers who created the Gummy Ship levels. I didn't like how we altered the stories that shaped my childhood. But then the next day, I was thinking about Kingdom Hearts. The following week, I had the intro theme song stuck in my head. The next month, I was running through Gummy Ship levels in my mind, hearing that Gummy theme replay over and over. After a while, I realized that I had become connected to Kingdom Hearts, and I wanted to go back. Those games are, in a strange way, a part of me now. It's almost as if I carry a part of Sora in my heart, the same way he carries others in his. In a sense, the story of Kingdom Hearts just got a lot more complicated because now I'm a part of it. The parallels between the player and Sora himself are what make it so easy to connect to this game. We want to explore other worlds. We want to help people. We welcome people we don't know into our hearts. We are Sora. Many games try to create this parallel, but none better than Kingdom Hearts. I'm telling you, I was not crazy about this game when I first played it. I saw problems left and right, and became easily frustrated at certain parts. But I can tell you now, I get it. I feel it. This game is great, but not because of any of its mechanics. Not because of its script, not because of its battle system, or its graphics. This game goes straight to the heart, and can connect to players in a way I've never seen before nor since. Obviously, this takes at least part of my objectivity out when reviewing this game, but I make the argument that what happened to me was by design. I don't want to ignore how I feel personally about this game, because it was the game's designers that did it, and I'm not the only one who felt that way. This is a very difficult thing to do, but somehow they were able to pull it off. There's a separate criteria than just the objective, was a game technically good or not? The additional criteria involves the immeasurable. How can you measure an emotional connection or a relationship? I use words like powerful and beautiful to describe things that I find difficult to quantify. What I can quantify, however, is that only a small handful of games have ever evoked such a response from me. Kingdom Hearts is on that list, and I'm willing to bet that whatever your opinion was of the game, you know what I'm referring to. There's just something about these games that makes them unforgettable. Kingdom Hearts helped pull Square out of their hardships and made them much more attractive to Enix, who was looking to merge with Square, but was weary of their financial troubles. The impact this game has had for Square is immense. The Kingdom Hearts series sold over 25 million copies altogether, with Kingdom Hearts selling over 4.5 million itself. Square was looking for another IP, and they found it. This game gave us what we didn't know we were looking for. It's an introspective view of ourselves, immersed in the worlds we love so much, actively participating in their storylines and building relationships in ways we didn't know were possible. It's funny to think of this kind of game as a risky move by Disney or Square. This game works perfectly. We may not think it's a perfect game or story, but the game itself is a great representation of what we as gamers want. We want to feel connected. We want to return to worlds we love again and again. We want to explore. We want to experience magic. In some ways, we just want to be kids again. This game offers us an unforgettable experience. It is, simply stated, a masterpiece.